One day, Henry VIII did the unthinkable. He signed the death warrant of his own queen, Anne Boleyn. 3 days later, she was beheaded. And just 11 days after her execution, Henry VIII was already married again. This is the story of the only woman he ever truly loved. Her name was Jane Seymour. While Anne Boleyn was wild, passionate, and argumentative, Jane was the complete opposite: quiet, gentle, pale, and obedient. She was everything Henry suddenly craved after years of chaos. Jane had been at court for years. She served as a lady-in-waiting to Catherine of Aragon and later to Anne Boleyn herself. She saw everything. She watched how Catherine fought back and lost. She watched how Anne fought back and lost her head. So Jane chose a completely different strategy. She stayed silent. She stayed modest. She stayed safe. When Henry first noticed her, she didn't flirt aggressively like Anne. She didn't send clever letters. She simply blushed and lowered her eyes. And that shy, submissive behavior drove Henry absolutely crazy. He began sending her gifts. He wrote her letters. And unlike Anne, Jane accepted them gracefully. Within months, the impossible happened. Anne Boleyn was executed in May 1536. Henry married Jane Seymour on May 30th, just 11 days later. By the end of the year, she was officially crowned Queen of England. For the first time in years, Henry finally seemed content. Jane gave him the peace he desperately wanted. No more arguments about religion. No more fights about who was right. Just calm. Just obedience. Then came the moment Henry had waited his entire adult life for. In 1537, Jane became pregnant. The entire kingdom held its breath. Prayers were said across England. This was the moment that could finally secure the Tudor dynasty. On October 12th, 1537, Jane gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Prince Edward, the future king, Edward VI. Henry was ecstatic. He cried tears of joy. Bonfires were lit across the country. Cannons fired. Church bells rang for days. After everything, the divorces, the executions, the broken church, he finally had his son. But the happiness was painfully short. Just 12 days after giving birth, Jane fell violently ill with childbed fever. Henry stayed by her side. He prayed. He begged God not to take her. But on October 24th, 1537, Jane Seymour died at the age of just 28 or 29. Henry was shattered. He locked himself away. He refused to see anyone. He wore black for months. For the first time in his life, the powerful King of England was truly heartbroken. He would go on to marry 3 more times, but he never loved any of them the way he loved Jane. Years later, when Henry himself was dying, he made one final request: bury me next to Jane. And that is exactly what happened. To this very day in St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, Henry VIII lies buried beside Jane Seymour, the only wife he ever chose to spend eternity with. Jane was queen for only 17 months. She never fought a war. She never changed the religion of a country. She never gave birth to a legendary daughter like Elizabeth. But she did something none of the others could. She gave Henry a son, and she left him while he still loved her completely. In the dangerous game of being Henry VIII's wife, Jane Seymour played it perfectly, and she remains to this day the only wife Henry VIII ever truly loved.